I was having such a good time filming adventures that I forgot to do an intro for this bonus final week of the Ready to Walk Disneyland series. Hang out with me as I come to you from Disneyland to let you know how things turned out and give you a series wrap up at the end. Well, I have to say that the hip has been better today, and I think that's because I've primarily been lollygagging around videoing things for the themed adventures, and I haven't been walking around from thing to thing in a larger space. We did do some of the Magic Band 70th interactions and the Disneyland Key 70th activity in multiple spots, but we were walking slow and it was good. So now, since it's the work week, I'm heading back to the hotel to work remotely for a few hours. And I think it's going to be a really good option to give me several solid hours of not walking. But on the flip side, it's several hours of sitting. And we know how bad that is. But hopefully in this capacity, it will be a good combination of sitting and standing. Because after that, we're going back into the park, keep videoing the 70th anniversary video activities. Like, I'm wearing my 70th anniversary colors. Bright and happy, celebrate happy. So I am happy that I'm feeling a little bit better today, a little bit more encouraged. Well, I'm just checking in on how I'm doing physically during this trip to Disneyland. Yesterday was actually really good. Yesterday was Monday, and it was so much better than Sunday because I came to the park to do filming and was taking my time just by nature of what I was filming. And so I was walking slowly. I was sitting down occasionally to change hats or camera equipment or whatnot. And then I had to go back to the hotel in the afternoon to work remotely for a few hours. And I got to sit out by the pool, and they had a table I could put the laptop on, and the chair had a nice big cushion and was wide enough I could put my legs up, and it was just a much different day. And so it all has to do with the level of exertion for me. So it's good to know that I can still be comfortable and mess around in Disneyland if I'm not rushing from thing to thing. And I'll make a comparison for you. We stayed in the park to catch the parade, and then the last bus was going to leave at like 10:30. And so we got out there around 10:15, and there was a bus there that was completely full, jammed full of people. And this is the art transit. And so that time of day, the buses come every 40 minutes. So seeing as how it was just leaving, we knew there would be another 40 minutes before we could actually get on. So Bert asked me if I wanted to ride on the scooter with him, because the scooter can go fast and it can carry a lot of weight. So two of us on the smaller side folks wouldn't have a problem weight-wise. So that was helpful in that I didn't have to walk. Because on the way back into the park after my afternoon work session, we were 40 minutes away from the next bus and so on and so forth. And I wanted to get in so we could see Tapestry of Happiness for the 70th anniversary. And I didn't want to wait 40 minutes or we would not make it in time. So we walked, and, well, he rolled. I walked. And I walked briskly. And whereas all day my hip had been good, that brisk walking bothered my hip flexors so much. It was a very different experience. So I was glad that he was giving me a ride back, but even though I didn't have to walk, I still had to be to the side so he could look over my shoulder. And so my muscles from holding me up in awkward positions didn't like that either. So I'm learning what works for me and what doesn't. And hopefully you have the opportunity to learn that for yourself. And today has just been lovely. I caught the bus, I walked slowly into the park, I've been lollygagging. But this area by Pixie Hollow, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave. It's just so beautiful. And if you haven't walked through Pixie Hollow, I did a full, very long POV walkthrough because nobody really gets the details for things. They'll do ride POVs, which are mainly of the interior of a ride. But attraction queues and attractions that aren't rides go overlooked when it comes to YouTube videos. So I did a very thorough walkthrough video that I'll get posted, possibly as part of my Tinkerbell adventure. But it's just beautiful, the water, and especially when Tinkerbell's not there. And I didn't see her on the schedule for today, so I don't know if she's going to be there at all. But there's hardly any people there. And the light filtering through the trees, oh gosh, I could hardly stand it. The flowers, is just astounding. So I'm just sitting here enjoying it. And then I'll get back to my adventures. But just a little update on all the screaming, on how things are going for me. So it was rough, it was good. Today's going to be good too. Same kind of schedule. Oh, Oogie Boogie Bash later today. Ooh, it'll be fun. Looking forward to it, never been. So, I'll catch you later. I thought I'd give you a little body update as I make my way through DCA right now. It's been a little bit rough with that left hip. What happens is whenever I'm using that side glute muscle called the glute med, either when I'm walking or just standing, it will randomly cramp every couple minutes, such that it takes my breath away. And I do kind of a silent scream, and then it goes away. So walking by the end of the day is really hard. Today, I decided to reintroduce ibuprofen. I kind of forget about things in the heat of the moment. So I was using the red light pad yesterday. It was not helping with the cramping per se. But I haven't had it as much this morning with the ibuprofen. So I'm back in the parks after an afternoon in the hotel room. First dose is worn off, so I took another 800 milligram anti-inflammatory dose, and hoping it gets me through the next few hours. We don't have any evening activities tonight, so we'll get to go back to the hotel early, which is nice. We did World of Color last night, and we didn't see the super late show because they only have one, but still that puts me to bed at like 11:30, and I've been getting up at 5:30, so that's not enough sleep. So tonight it'll be good to get back to sleep at a decent hour. So that's the update. My ankle, totally fine. SI joints, my lower back does get sore as expected from the movement of walking and just standing. But sitting down helps that. It still is mainly the left hip and the hip flexor as well. So I'm just pacing myself as much as I can, trying not to hurry. And there's just one more day in the parks tomorrow. Nice full day. We're planning then doing Fantasmic and the Halloween Screams with fireworks, because they only do the fireworks on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the whole time we've been here, they haven't been on. Same with Fantasmic. So those will both be tomorrow night. And hopefully we'll have a good long rest at the hotel in the afternoon. So I feel up to that. And then it's another travel day on Saturday. So that's where we are, plugging along. Things are mostly fine on this end, and Bert's doing okay. He's enjoying being in Disneyland, feeling the way that he does, versus being at home feeling the way that he does. So I do think it's been beneficial for him, and I'm glad that he was able to come with me. So I will check in with you again. Well, today was pretty good as far as my physical health went. I didn't start really getting any hip cramps until this evening. A little bit of walking. We chose to walk to the parks because, bus timing and all of that. But I think the ibuprofen ended up being the key for me. Definitely not sustainable long term, but good for the situation. But I will be going back to PT next week, and I have 2 appointments, my last 2 that my insurance will pay for. I knew I would need them when I got back from this trip because it was going to be a hot mess. So. Two visits next week, and we'll see if we can figure out what to do about these hip cramps. I don't know. But this was the last day in the parks. Tomorrow we fly home, so travel days almost going to be as bad as a park day, simply because there's so much sitting. Luckily, it's not a very long appointment or not a very long flight, but it's still just a lot of confined sitting. So it'll be all right. Today was not good for Bert. He slept most of the morning, didn't even come into the parks, and he went back with me after I came back to the hotel, and then worked for a while, and then we went back for a dinner reservation at the Blue Bayou, and he could not even enjoy it. He was in so much pain and felt so bad today. But after that, I just walked him back to the gate, and he scooted on back to the hotel. So I was really sad about that, but still another week and something before he has an MRI, and then a month after that he has some other nerve test. So I'm proud of him for coming on this trip and just trying to find somewhere to enjoy life a little bit, rather than being confined to his house in pain. But it was most definitely not his perfect trip. So hopefully we'll get him some help before long. But we're doing what we can. Well, back in Utah, and didn't really have time to check in the airport yesterday, but the flight was okay for me. Sitting was a little bit easier. I made some adjustments and had the ibuprofen, so It was fine. Better than on the way there. My ankle is healed, and I didn't have a lot of problems with the low back SI joints, which is what used to put me in the wheelchair. So I'm pleased to say I did not need to use the wheelchair the entire trip. Yes, it was a goal, and we nailed it. I think using the KT tape probably helped. Sitting was helpful on a regular basis. But the strength training that I've been doing the past couple years and the additional stuff with the physical therapy is really what was helpful for that. Now I am still having those cramping issues with the left hip. So when I go back to PT this week, I'll see what we can do to address that. But I almost wonder if whatever the diagnostic would be that looks at soft tissue, MRI or CT or whatever, would be a good idea for the hip area, so we can actually get a good idea of what's going on down there. So that's forthcoming, but we did what we could do to make the trip as physically enjoyable and possible as we could, and I think everything worked out really well. As far as Bert goes, being in the wheelchair was, well, helpful, or he wouldn't have been able to do anything, but I think it was emotionally very hard for him to be in a place that is so vastly different than he normally feels when he is at Disney. Normally he's the one pushing the wheelchairs. So for him to have to be in one and be in such a state was very challenging for him. But he did realize that despite how really, really hard things are for him right now, he can do hard things. And he can find moments of joy and happiness, or at the very least calm and peace. We can't always reach those higher ones. So he still has a long road ahead. We've got an MRI, a brain MRI scheduled for him next weekend, which will be really interesting to see what they find with that. And then a month after that, he has a, EMG, nerve test scheduled, and I believe his neurologist wants to be there for that. So hopefully something will come from one of those two tests. Not always do we have the option to make an effort to feel better. Sometimes just existing takes all of the energy that we can, and there is nothing that we can do and nothing that other people can do to make us feel better. And that is a hard reality. So when I say take care of your physical body, do what you can to perform the best that you can, I mean that in a way where I'm saying if you are in a place where you can make the effort now, do. Because you won't always be in that place. There may come a time where you can't. So do what you can now and have the fun that you can now within your limitations, but exerting your best effort to feel as good as you can. I think that is wrapping up our walking and physical readiness for Disneyland series. I may continue on with Bert's wheelchair and whatever is going on with him series that I'm looking at creating from our time in the park there. So look for that. He gave me his full permission to share anything. He said his life is an open book. There is nothing that he is ashamed of, and he wants other people to benefit from his experience if at all possible. So that might be coming. Currently, I am very excited to start working on my themed adventures from the video that I took in Disneyland this past week. And I still need to edit and publish this whole series from the past 3 months. So we'll see what I can do about adding stuff in for Bert and his journey as I can. So thank you for joining me on this experience, for keeping me company, for silently encouraging me, and for allowing me to encourage you. And take care of yourself and have all the fun that you can.
Check the Ready to Walk Disneyland playlist for other episodes, or choose an in-park or at-home adventure.